Alright guys, so I want to talk to you about the fastest way in which you can get money to be able to get into property investment. So obviously your first option will be to obviously try and save away, i.e. you've got a job and you obviously earn some money, the money you can save every single month. Obviously if you're not on a high paying job, likelihood is you're going to struggle to save the money required to be able to start getting into property. If we take the example of an average property in the UK being, let's say 250k, that's very easily about 50k required as just simply a deposit, not talk about the fees, stamp duty, all of that stuff to get into the deal. So obviously the higher it is, the even more money required as a simple deposit. So we're in the region of, well, maybe 100k on average is what you're needing to kind of get into a deal. Let's say the target was to get 100k. You could work out how long would it take for you to get 100k through your job. And assess if it took me 3, 4, 5 years time, is that something you're happy with? And is that a scalable method of which you can go about doing that? You can make that judgment yourself. Obviously option 2, learn a high income skill, which is something like deal sourcing in property. So i.e. being able to find great deals and also find investors who are looking for these great opportunities and be able to source these opportunities to investors and in essence get paid for an outcome. Whether it's transactional, i.e. if you present this opportunity to me, I'll pay you $5,000 on average. Most sources are sourcing properties for $5,000 or property deals for $5,000 a piece. So let's say on average you're sourcing a property deal for $5,000. Obviously that's a high income skill to learn, which is going to require time to learn it, to be able to implement it and start to see a result. Obviously for a lot of you, probably going to be working, so to be able to effectively become a deal sourcer, it might be hard alongside your job, i.e. if you've got very little time, very hard for you to then go and spend all your day pretty much trying to find new opportunities for network investors. This all takes time. So I think for deal sourcers to be able to, for it to be an avenue to obviously earn money from, you've got to be an element of time rich and obviously great at finding deals, which is not an easy task. It's a skill that's going to be acquired. Once mastered, the next problem is, can you find investors to be able to present these opportunities to and therefore transact the $5,000 a deal opportunity. So let's say from that, for a lot of people, I don't think they make even maybe $25,000, $30,000 a year from deal sourcing. That's if you're even an average deal sourcer. For me, I'm a big believer if you're going to go into deal sourcing, the target's got to be in the hundreds of thousands as a minimum. Because if you're not operating at that level, obviously you've got to make the money, pay taxes, all that stuff. So net, then have money to be able to start sinking into property. And like I said, if you're working a full-time job, 8 hours, 10 hours already, I believe a great deal sourcer is going to spend the same level of time, 8 hours, 10 hours, to start producing at a rate of one deal a month, let's say. So that's $5,000 a month, which then equates to $60,000. You might be able to walk away with $40,000, $50,000 after operational costs and stuff. So the third option is obviously something called rent to rent, and I'm probably familiar with it. It's kind of the low-hanging fruit everyone talks about at the moment in terms of getting your entry into property. Obviously, rent to rent is a vehicle whereby you can kind of get cash flow from that, and some people sometimes use it as a vehicle to potentially start building the capital required to start buying property. And again, what I like to say to people is like, ultimately you need to understand the maths behind rent to rent model. So for rent to rent, startup capital for that per deal usually is about $5,000. But what you need to realize is obviously if you go into a rent to rent deal, on day one, if you're looking from a balance sheet point of view, you are minus $5,000. So you've got to start making profit on your deal to be able to get back to zero and then start making profit. So it might take you 6 months to get into kind of your balance of zero, i.e. break even, and then start to make profit on that. So i.e. around $1,000 a month. So if 6 months of the year, you've only made $6,000 extra in income. And for the level of hours, commitment, effort required to be able to even get that first deal, probably for another extra $6,000, let's say even did 3 deals, that's still $18,000 extra a year. And if we're looking at a target of getting to 100k, that's, I don't know how many years that is, 5 years, 6 years plus. Assuming that you can consistently obviously make the generate 1k a month without any fluctuations or anything like that, or voids or stuff like that. So this is all consideration that needs to be kind of mapped out. Like, is that a viable plan for me? Is that a plan I want to have? I.e. is that a time I want to invest into be able to make that level of money? So that's your option 3. Option 4 is something called raising capital. So I'm a big believer that you can raise capital faster than you can ever try to earn it or even try and save it. So if we look at corporations, we look at people that have been successful in life, generally speaking, they have leveraged money from other people. It's just a fast way to be able to get into things, be able to execute. Even people that do startup ideas, business ideas, they don't look to try and earn the money and try and scale the money, scale their businesses, generally speaking anyways, through earning through their businesses. They try and raise the capital to get the business rolling and then make the money back to then be able to pay the investors back. So this is no different. You are raising capital for an asset, which, to be honest, a great asset, which everybody's familiar with: a home, property, tangible assets, physical location. Like, people don't really lose money in property if they know what they're doing. So a lot of people can kind of buy into that idea and relatively kind of understand that, okay, it's tangible, versus some people are even raising tens of millions for businesses. So I like to think if you can raise tens of millions on just an idea without even a tangible asset really, let's be real. There is no scarcity around being able to raise a few hundred thousands for a physical, tangible asset with a location, which is improving for the test of time to be able to sustain its value. So that is a skill. Again, obviously you've got to learn how to kind of be of value to somebody, for them to want to transact with you, for them to want to lend you money, to allow you to go and do what it is you want to do. Obviously, this is not a pitch. You're going to ask for money or go and try and speak to your people about, oh, hey, I've got this opportunity, I want to raise £100,000 to go buy a property. That nobody cares. That's not how you raise money. So you've got to learn the framework of how to position yourself in front of someone whereby you are providing a value proposition for them to want to transact with you, i.e. lend you money to go and do what it is you want to do. Whether it's on a loan basis, whether it's a joint venture partnership basis, whatever. It's just the fact that is you've got a financial potential partner or someone who financially has the money required to be able to get into a deal and allow you to go and do the deal you want to do. So that's your option 4. Personally, what did I do when I was starting out? I clearly understood what it is I wanted out of property. For me, it's very two simple things: ownership and high cash flow. I said, okay, cool. I want to get on ownership. What are the property prices I need to look at buying at? I think at the time I was buying out 225, 230 grand was kind of the purchase price I was looking at. So I very quickly realized I'm needing about 100 grand all in plus a refurb to kind of start buying property. I said, okay, how do I get 100 grand? I haven't got 100 grand. I work a corporate job. Yes, I was earning decent salary, 50k a year. I could save like 20 grand a year from that, but ultimately that was going to take me 5 years to be able to get one set of 100 grand, and then it's every 5 year cycle of buying one property, which for me I wasn't in and didn't want to do. So I learned the skill again of how to can I raise money, and also more importantly, not to think from what I have available, i.e. making a decision based on the money I have around me. Because a lot of people kind of do this as well, where they think, oh, I've only got 5 grand, I've only got 10 grand, so let me find a strategy that fits my current circumstance or my current budget I have around me, and actually not think from the opposite direction. Actually, what do I want from property? What do I want to do in property? What is my outcome? What is it I'm doing this for? If it's financial freedom, if it's owning assets, all this stuff, building wealth, building generational wealth, this is all through owning assets. So for me, I was like, I'd rather start through buying, even if it took me longer to get into that. At least I know by doing that activity and spending that time doing it, I've got to my outcome, and therefore it was worth my time. So that's what I did. I went and learned the skill, high value skill of raising capital. That's allowed me to be able to build a £4 million portfolio. I had to raise over £3 million or just under £3 million over the last 3 years alone. So it is possible. It has been done. People I've taught how to do this have gone and done the same and built their own portfolio for themselves and didn't limit themselves based on their current financial situation, which a lot of people are doing. So just get true with your outcome and understand what vehicle you're in, and does that vehicle get you to outcome? And if it does, obviously by all means carry on. And if you're looking for alternatives, you can then examine which vehicle best suits you and allows you to get to the outcome you want. So I hope that makes sense. Obviously, if you're wanting help, learn how to raise the skill of raising capital from individuals, people in your network, and doing it correctly and having a framework to follow and being coached on how to do this, by all means reach out to the team, myself, and we can help you do this.